Hello. Welcome to the second edition of Fitness Fridays. This should be the third edition of Fitness Fridays. The last week I was really busy, so I didn't have time to make a video. I know it's no excuse, but this week should be good. What we're going to tackle this week are a few questions that were asked by Connor McDermott a couple of weeks ago. And the first one I think is very, very important, and that's why we're going to head back into the office. All right, not bad. First question was about exercises you can do just sitting at your desk, which is really relevant in today's society because a lot of people have desk jobs where they sit 8 or 10 hours a day. So what you should think about first is what position are you stuck in when you're at work, and what position does that translate into staying in when you're outside of work. So the first big one is this forward head posture, and you see it a lot with people. They work too much at their desk and they look at the computer screen too much, so they have forward head. And then along with that comes the rounded shoulders from all the typing. So a lot of people are like this. It looks terrible when you're sitting, but it looks even worse when you're standing up. So what we're going to try to do is get rid of some of these muscular imbalances. So the first one is the forward head. So if you're lucky enough to have a high seat, not like myself, my boss isn't very nice, so I don't have a high seat. But if you have a headrest, it's perfect. Or if you're in your car driving, it's another really good way to kind of get rid of this position. But what we're going to do, since we don't have a headrest, is we're just going to move through a range of motion. So I don't want you to think about looking down, and I don't want you to think about pushing your head back this way. I want you to try to look as ugly as possible and give yourself a really disgusting double chin. And that's where you're going to hang out. And you're going to hold this position for 5 seconds, move your head back. Just make sure if you're in a cubicle, not everybody else is staring at you while you're doing this exercise. But you're going to work on holding this position. What that's going to do is it's going to take these muscles here that get really lengthened from this, and it's going to strengthen them, which is going to pull your head back into kind of a neutral position, which is much better for the neck. It's much better for all these muscles here. And the second part of the imbalances that you see is people have very rounded shoulders. So not only should you try to fix what's happening at the neck, but you should also try to fix what's happening at the shoulder blades in the middle of the back. So we have a really big imbalance from front to back. Muscles in the front, the chest, get really tight from slouching, and the ones in the back get really loose. So what I want you to do is you're going to take your hands and make little fists, put them beside you and behind you just a little bit. So sit a little closer to the edge of your chair. And then from here, you're going to work on driving your shoulders back and then pushing down as hard as you can. So lifting your butt up off the chair just an inch or so. Really squeezing back between the shoulder blades and then relaxing. Come back up, squeeze between the shoulder blades and relax. And you can do that at the same time as you push your chin back. So this will look really odd if people will see you, but relax, chin back, drive your shoulders up, and then come back down. Really work on feeling this just underneath each of your shoulder blades. And the last one you should do is you should really try to stretch out everything in the front of the chest. Today we'll only focus on upper body. We'll get into some lower body stuff later, but I want you to think about taking your hands, putting them behind your back, right about here, and then from there just driving shoulders back and opening up everything through the chest. Now I don't want you to really drive too much through the low back, but just think about pulling the shoulders back, getting a nice stretch right through the front of your chest here, and work on these 3 positions. So the first one, drive the chin back, not down, just straight back. Come back to the beginning, and then put your hands back here, drive your chest up, come back down, and then the last one is hands behind the back and really work to stretch out that anterior chest. Now the second question that Connor had was about fasting. Now, if you don't know what fasting is, there are certain people that are now taking a couple days out of the week, not consecutive days, but really restricting calories on those days. So say, having 500-600 calories on non-consecutive days, 2 days out of the week. And what that's going to do is it's going to take your overall calorie consumption and it's going to bring it down. And really, if you think about basic laws of thermodynamics, that just means that you are going to lose weight. Because if you burn more calories than you take in, then you will lose weight. Now, I've never recommended fasting to any of my clients because I think there are better ways to do it. Just like I've never really recommended, eating 6-7 meals a day because number one, the research isn't really there to back that up anymore to show that that's the best way to lose weight. And it's not realistic for a lot of people. So now for me, the big thing is just eat 3 meals a day. Make sure they're, relatively healthy. Eat things that have come from the earth. Eat animals that have died. And to me, it's a little more realistic. Sure, I've seen amazing results with people who eat smaller meals more frequently, and I've seen, really good results too with people who do the intermittent fasting and have the couple of days a week where they eat less, because they say what that does is it kind of stimulates you to realize what real hunger is, because a lot of people, they eat out of boredom, they eat because they think they're hungry or they're thirsty. But this fasting, if you're only eating 600 calories a day, you really start to realize what hunger is, because you really start to crave foods. So on intermittent fasting, I wish I could tell you more. I don't have a lot of experience with it. Firsthand, I wouldn't be able to do it, because I know I will strangle someone if I'm limited to 600 calories a day. Now, the third question from Connor was about women who are getting ready for a wedding. So women who only have, maybe 6 or 8 weeks to get ready for a wedding. Realistically, if someone is getting ready for a wedding and we're training them, if we have 12 weeks, that's a really good amount of time. 3 months, it gives us a lot of time to go over a lot of things, to, have different phases. But if they're limited and only have 6 or 8 weeks, the things that I would do is, when they came into the gym, if they're committing to 3 times a week for heavy exercise, those 3 times a week would be spent lifting quite heavy weights, really trying to build a little bit of muscle. And then on their days off, I'd give them, some cardiovascular exercise, maybe some fasted cardio in the morning. So as soon as they wake up, before they eat, going out, getting some exercise, 30, 40 minutes of a nice brisk walk or a jog if they're interested. And then from there, just making sure that we figure out how much they eat first. And if they're in a caloric surplus, we'll bring their calories down. We'll make them eat more protein on their training days, make them eat less carbohydrates on their cardio days. Just kind of a little bit of carb cycling. So the days we're trying to build muscle, or the days that they're lifting heavy, we're going to feed them appropriately. And then the days where they're trying to burn a little bit, and the days they're just doing cardio, those are the days that we would really try to restrict their starchy carbohydrates. And it's not really extreme, but in 8 weeks, especially if they're an unconditioned individual, you'll find that that'll give you pretty good results. So this is July 18th. This is the second edition of Functional Fitness Fridays. If you have any more questions, post them down here, and then I'll be sure to answer them. And hopefully I'll be able to do this every week. Keep the questions coming. I really like helping you out, and if you are at all benefited by this, feel free to share the video, and I'll see you at the studio. Goodbye.